I've had job interviews that have fallen so flat. I was a shoo-in to get some of these jobs and they've just completely fallen flat. But that's life. Like things like that happen. I remember I had one job interview where I had a head of a department saying, we want this girl to come in. And it was an entry-level position. This wasn't a prestigious position a lot of people were fighting for. This was just an entry-level position, which there are always people fighting for those positions as well. But it wasn't the same kind of like high stakes as maybe like a head of a department type of role. So I was interviewing for one of these entry-level positions, and I remember talking to like my sister and my brother-in-law, and they're like, oh, you're a shoo-in for this. Like the head of this department has recommended and saying like, this is who we want to hire, and now you're just going to go have an interview with HR. You got this in the bag. And I remember I had a phone call with HR, and there's just times when you're in an interview and you just know they don't want to hire you. I just remember this HR lady, she would ask me a lot of different questions. By the time I'd gotten off the phone and I had talked to my sister and my brother-in-law, and they were like, well, what did you respond to some of these questions? And I would tell them exactly what my answer was. And they both were like, that's a phenomenal answer. And once again, I've had family members that have worked in corporate. So when I would tell different people like, yeah, I had this meeting with HR and this is what I said, they're like, there's honestly no reason why you shouldn't have gotten that job. And finally, the nail in the coffin of the interview is they had said, do you know where this position is? So I said what town the position was going to be in. They're like, no, it's not in that town. It's actually going to be in this town and you're about an hour away. So it doesn't really make sense for you to have this role. Would you still be interested? And I was so flabbergasted because the role I had applied for was in fact in the town that I stated. And the person that was referring me was the person whose team I was going to be on. It was just one of those moments where you're caught off guard and you're like, oh, okay. And it was just like, it's not going to be a great fit. And it just totally fell flat. I've had moments and I've had interviews where I've sat with people and they're just like, no. So it didn't matter how well I performed. It wasn't for me.